Hello everyone and welcome back to Reading Reddit, the channel where I read you popular and obscure stories from the hive mind of the internet while you do other things. I'm your host Damien, and without further ado, let's begin. Today's story comes from r/MaliciousCompliance, the install job, or fine, I'll leave the premises. Part 1. Wherein Karen discovers a lazy worker. A soft, early spring rain patters on the umbrella. Underneath its protective nylon blend, Iris takes a drag on her American Spirits cigarette. The menthol cools her throat. The nicotine invigorates her. Today is a big day. She's made a long journey out from her office in the city of country music, tourists, and cowboy hats, and exceptionally spicy fried chicken, to a Fridge-Co distribution plant in one of its suburbs. Her company is nearing its completion of a major conveyor system, and her part in all it is to install the software she wrote to allow it to interface with the customer's system. It's a dark morning, and the rain shows no sign of stopping today. The clock on her silently glowing smartphone screen reads Saturday, February 15th, 7:45 a.m. She frowns, slips it into the pocket of her jeans, and shivers irritably from the morning chill against which her company-branded polyester blend jacket does little to protect her. Her new underling is late. The cigarette goes out in a fizzle as Iris presses it into some collected rainwater at the top of a trash bin, then walks inside, introduces herself to the clerk, and asks to be taken to the server room, where she will spend most of her day preparing the application server with all the software it needs before spending a few hours performing on-site unit testing. It's nice and warm inside, especially near the server rack, so she pulls a cart over to it, sets her laptop on it, and takes off her jacket to reveal a black Conveyor Co. tee. In a few minutes, she is connected to the server via remote desktop. The .NET framework installs quickly, so she has little to do but wait while the SQL server and RS logics are downloaded. Thus enter, preceded by the aroma of espresso, perfume, and stress, Karen, whom Iris will later learn is the personal supervisor. A woman in her late 30s with makeup caked on in a clear and futile desperation to stay young and attractive, and an expression as if she had smelled something slightly unpleasant. It is, apparently, her resting face, as upon seeing Iris, that expression contorts even further in outrage. "What are you doing in here?" she demands. "You are supposed to be out on the floor with the others installing our system." "That's what I'm doing," explains Iris placatingly, as she extends a hand. "I'm Iris, senior software developer at Conveyor Co., and I'm here to install the control software." "No, you're not!" Karen's interjection slices Iris's explanation like a Japanese sushi knife through a sheet of paper. "You're a lazy worker, and you thought you could slack off in the server room and no one would know. I know who the programmer is, and he's a man. Women aren't smart enough for that kind of work. Anyway, you're a technician, which means you do what the men in engineering say." It's at this point Iris decides that Karen's behavior warrants retaliation. But when she opens her mouth, struggling to bite back at both a scathing, sarcastic retort, and instead choosing to ask Karen to let her talk to the site manager to sort the whole thing out, Karen strikes again. "On top of that, you don't have a vest or a hard hat. If you were working for us, you'd be fired on the spot. I want you off this site now." Part 2. Despicable Me, except the minion gets to be Gru for a day. As Karen yells that last word, Underling chooses that precise moment to appear. Tall, a bit lanky, bespectacled, but smartly groomed and dressed in a Conveyor Co. polo and slacks. Visibly confused and alarmed, Karen flashes a smile at him. "Finally! You look like the man in charge. I'm assuming your," masculine pronunciation of Iris's true name, "your employee was just sitting around in here, slacking off, and I am in the process of having her removed from the site." She says this with deep satisfaction, as if expecting Iris's boss to reprimand her. "Actually, begins Underling. "Well?" Karen asks expectantly. Silence reigns for all of 10 long, awkward seconds. Underling is technically supposed to check in with Iris before heading out to the floor to assist the engineers in testing the PLC, and, later, her own software. He stands there, scratching sheepishly at the back of his head, eyes pleading for help from his boss. Iris looks at Karen, who has smugly crossed her arms, back at Underling, then back to Karen. Screw it. You know what time it is, and I know what time it is. Karen just activated Iris's malicious compliance card. She gives Underling a nod and mouths, "Play along." That is very bad of you. I want you to go home," Underling ventures. "Fine, I'm out of here." Iris moves to shut her laptop down. Karen screeches, "What do you think you're doing? Don't touch that! That's company property!" "It's my property," Iris replies testily. She paid $1,300 for it. Being both a programmer and the lead IT at a small company has its perks. Just like being able to hook up your own personal work laptop to the Active Directory instead of using one of the cheap brands her pitiful, despite hard-fought, budget affords for the other employees. "No, it's not, you liar! You're lucky I don't call the police on you. Now leave the premises now!" "Okay, no big deal. Underling can take it back to the office instead." Karen continues, voice barely below a shout, about how "tomorrow morning I will be in a very important meeting with your bosses, and I'm going to tell them everything. I'm going to watch them fire you," and so on and so forth. Iris has stopped listening as the voice that follows her out to her car, accompanied by Underlings, unsure and absurdly hilarious, "And, don't come back?" Iris is not fazed. Sure, she has some choice words for the woman, most of which starts with B or C and end with itch or unt, respectively. But she knows exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. The thought gives her no small amount of vicious, petty glee. It's a plan which would not have worked were the following not true. A. Karen has only been included in group emails with her, never conference calls. B. Karen holds certain opinions about the differences between men and women and what sort of jobs they belong in. C. When instructed to leave the premises, it generally means you are banned from the worksite, not just ejected. D. Karen is, well, Karen. Iris sends Underling a text and starts the engine. The sound of Tatsuro Yamashita's crooning voice fills her car as she drives home to spend the rest of her weekend playing Civ 5 and Final Fantasy XIV. Part 3. The brown matter collides with the rotary ventilation device. Iris arrives for work late, as usual. Yesterday's rains have ushered in weather slightly warmer than absolute zero, and the wind chill cuts through her Annie Klein Executive Collection two-piece suit, jacket, and pencil skirt with relentless ease. Inside, the familiar scent of cheap office coffee, printer paper, and freshly sawed metal greets her. Underling has, as instructed, dutifully returned her laptop and its bag to her desk. He also, according to a post-it note, installed the software packages Iris had left downloading, then updated Ops Manager on the situation. Good Underling. Iris will have to reward him with donuts later. Cables connected, it boots up, and Gmail hopefully reminds her that she's been invited to a meeting in the conference room in 3 minutes. Excellent. She decides to wait outside the conference room for about 8 minutes and let Karen dig herself into a hole, with site manager in attendance. All according to Keikaku. Not according to Keikaku is the president of Fridgeco's VP of something or other. It doesn't matter though. The VP is pretty chill. Outside the conference room, Iris can hear site manager demanding to know why the interface software hasn't been installed. Why, they'll have to wait until next weekend, outside production hours, for another install window. The entire project has been pushed back a week. The deadline won't be met. Oh, the humanity. Ops Manager, Iris's boss, advises him that there is still 3 weeks left until the deadline, and once everything is sorted out, the system will be up and running well before then. And just as Karen is launching into a tirade about how she removed one of the techs from the site for not having her equipment and trying to slack off in an unauthorized area, Iris strides confidently into the room. Ops Manager, a big, late boomer with gray hair, a square face, and a square body, looks up at her with consternation and relief. "Hey, Iris, you're late," he says amicably in a Thousand Lakes accent. "Site Manager, Karen, VP, this is Iris, our senior IT and software developer. Some of you have spoken with her over the phone or via email. Iris, can you explain to us about why the install hasn't been completed? Iris quietly looks at Karen and smiles. Karen, perplexed, has taken on a shade of milk 2 weeks past its expiration date. Site manager just looks impatient. VP adds expectantly. So, did you have any trouble with our systems? Were there any bugs? Ah, the sweet feeling of anticipation before moving in for the kill. Actually, none of those things. Karen, maybe you would like to explain why the senior software developer left your facility at 8:27 a.m. Shock and surprise can be heard all around the room. Karen stammers. Karen stutters. Iris half expected to need to call underling in to corroborate with her against the lies from Karen. But Karen has been knocked off kilter. Iris would like to think she was shocked out of her wits to see some lazy worker in baggy jeans and a t-shirt reintroduced as a smart-dressed, though it's really just office dress code, VIP she'd mistaken to be a man. It was probably the fact that she had been caught in a great big fib about how she had to remove a lazy, ill-equipped worker from the premises at around 8:30. Her attempts to Darvo are so pathetic, Iris almost feels pity. Almost. The rest of the meeting is a regular episode of the breaking of the Karen and a plan to get back on track with the install. Ops manager, although technologically impaired, is a shrewd manager, and after the meeting, pulls Iris aside to warn her of the dangers of letting a project overrun for just a spot of revenge, but presses the issue no further. Iris, despite her hopes to the contrary, does see Karen again at FridgeCo next weekend, and several times during the startup and production support. But the barely attractive woman never communicates to her, save with a silent, sour glare. Site manager gets what he wanted, the project done on time. Conveyor Co gets paid. Iris gets nothing but her salary, as usual. A little over a year later, during a routine system checkup call with the site maintenance lead, Karen's name is brought up, and Iris asks after her. Rumor has it, her pay was docked slightly, and she was written up. And about 7 months later, she took a sideways promotion to corporate middle management. Iris thanks the maintenance lead, wraps up her monthly report, and starts writing this story. You know, I've said this once before, and I think I'm going to have to say it again. It absolutely amazes me how some people can actually get jobs and promotions in places that they're not qualified to be in, or at least on the surface. It shows that they're not qualified to be in that position, or they don't have the capability to actually handle that kind of responsibility. Though, spending quite a bit of time in middle management, I do know what a sideways promotion looks like, and the way that this is described looks more like she was pushed out rather than promoted up, or sideways for that matter. They wanted her out of that position, so hopefully they found somebody far better to fill those shoes. I hope you enjoyed today's story. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd like to thank everyone who posted their stories to the subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. If you missed the last video, you have to go check it out. Links are also in the description. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time.